Next man up, 1025, The Game. Jake Lyman, joined by Nick Frazier in studio. Parker Kelly behind the glass on this Tuesday morning, a Tony Tuesday on the program. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership with a buzz is always about great service. I am back in studio. I listened back yesterday, and no, I was not broadcasting through a tin can and a string. That will be fixed next time I have to broadcast on the road. I was too confident in my ability to get my equipment to work in the hotel room. So we will have a mic next time.
Noted. I mean, oh boy. Noted. I may have some tips for you. So
I do have a mic that like a Blue Yeti mic that I can plug into my computer. I just didn't bring it because I thought I could get my equipment to work and that would sound better, obviously.
Right.
You know, hindsight's 2020. We will plan ahead better next time. But I listened back. I was like, oh my God, people listen to this for 3 hours? Probably not. But we are back in studio today. Glad to be back here. Nick Frazier is with us. Lots of Titans talk today. Roger McCreary traded from the Titans to the Rams yesterday, continuing the Titans' moves ahead of the trade deadline. We'll also talk Titans head coaching candidates, kind of organize our thoughts because lots of candidates are being thrown out there. Let's see where we feel about these guys as we head into November. And also, I was called a homer yesterday for saying that 10-2 Vandy is a lock for the playoffs. We're going to do some math and see if I'm actually a homer or if that's true. So we'll do that.
I wouldn't call you a homer.
I was on X yesterday. Somebody said local homer says that Vandy can get in at 10-2.
Unbelievable. I mean, I still think they can. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that throughout the show. But before we do that, what a World Series game last night.
That was probably, I think, goes down as the best World Series game of, I'd say, the 21st century.
Did you
hands down?
Did you see the tweet of what there are 2 18-inning games in World Series history? Did you see what they have in common?
Both happened on the same day, right?
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
Or I think
Brad Paisley played the national anthem. That is
wow.
That is the one connection is Brad Paisley played the national anthem for the game in 2018 that went 18 innings.
And
then he did it again last night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something about Brad Paisley, I guess.
Well, this is the 4th time I think I saw that he has played the national anthem at a World Series. All of them have gone to extra innings. So if you want a good World Series game, call up Brad.
Paisley postseason. I guess that's what you call him up for. I mean, I think the other one you're talking about was Boston versus the Dodgers.
Yes.
And Muncy hit the home run to left center, I believe.
Right.
That was a crazy one. Off of Valdi.
Yeah, the Will Smith almost put that in the exact same spot yesterday. He bat flipped, came up just short. That game was crazy. Lots of opportunities for both teams. The Blue Jays weren't taking great at-bats. The Dodgers kept threatening. We were talking before the show about the decision to not only intentionally walk Shohei Ohtani, but intentionally walk Mookie Betts to load the bases for Freddie Freeman. And he hit a ball to the warning track that almost won the game earlier on. He ended up winning it in the 18th inning.
Yeah, John Schneider's got some cojones on him to say, I'm going to walk Shohei Ohtani, then Mookie Betts. And like you said before, bring up the best probably RBI hitter on planet Earth in Freddie Freeman, best contact hitter of one of the best of his
and one of the clutchest guys in the postseason we've seen over the last couple of years. So, it was a classic game. I did not stay up for all of it. I had to see the home run this morning. We were on our way back from Memphis, rolled in about midnight. I got home around 12:30 and the game was still going on. I kept an eye on it for a second, but then I was like, you know what? I got to go to bed. We don't get up Robbie and Rex Road early, but still early enough that I was not going to stay up till 2 a.m. to see how that game ended up.
Yeah. I fell asleep after the 14th inning. I just rolled over on the couch. It's like, this game's going to another inning. I'm just going to fall asleep. Maybe I wake up for the 18th. I did not wake up for the 18th. So I watched the final 4 frames this morning, or 3 frames, that is. And wow, just jaw dropping of how good that game was last night. The fact that you go basically, have your pitching staff gone at some point. Like you're about to put Yamamoto in there. I'm like, that's crazy. He pitched a day and a half ago?
Right. Pitched 9 innings a day and a half
105
ago.
pitches.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. It goes to show you Dave Roberts knows this team like the back of his hand.
Yeah.
Like they even said it on the broadcast. He's pushing all the right buttons right now.
It is that was a classic game. I mean, you mentioned coming out of the bullpen. Clayton Kershaw comes out of the bullpen for the Dodgers. We got to see Max Scherzer and Clayton Kershaw pitch in the same game for almost certainly the final time. Maybe later on in this series it happens again, but I would guess that's the final time. Two of I was having this conversation with my friends yesterday. Two of the three best pitchers of our generation, right?
Yeah.
Of the last 25 years, maybe 20, we'll say. Verlander, Kershaw, Scherzer, two of them pitching last night in the World Series. It's tough for the Blue Jays because I don't know if you can come back from that. That's one of those games where, every game in the World Series, there's a little bit of momentum that goes back and forth, but the old adage is momentum's only as good as the next day's starting pitcher. I don't know if that actually is true when you play an 18-inning game, because it's so defeating for the team. You just played two full games in one night, basically, and lose on a play like that from Freddie Freeman. So I don't know if the Blue Jays are going to be able to come back from that.
Yeah, my biggest issue with the Blue Jays lineup right now, obviously you get Bo Bichette back for the World Series after his knee injury back in September, but you're fielding a lineup that involves Dalton Varsho, Miles Straw. I mean, are we doing a spring training team out here? Like, come on now. You got Clement, Andres Jimenez. Come on.
It is funny looking at the two lineups next to each other. Like, the Blue Jays are a very good team, and there's a reason they were the top seed in the AL. There's a reason they're in the World Series. But you look at those two rosters, and you're like, all right, well, we can tell who has a $500 million payroll.
Yeah, and
right?
let's remember, Ty France was a guy that was hitting like 198 2 seasons ago for the Reds.
Yeah.
And like the Mariners dropped him. Nobody wanted him. And now he's on a World Series team. It just goes to show you baseball as a roller coaster ride up and down there.
Yeah. I mean, the Blue Jays have plenty of talent, especially in the middle of their order with Bo Bichette and George Springer and Vladdy, but like everybody, like you don't have the depth that the Dodgers do, being able to just, our sixth best hitter is Teoscar Hernandez. Great.
Let's load it up.
He would probably be a middle of the order hitter on every single other team in the MLB.
The only liability on that roster right now, especially in that lineup, would be Max Muncy, in my opinion. That guy can't hit to save his life, but can play defense.
But he's still a guy who has been playing in World Series for the last 10 years, basically. So
it's crazy.
It was a classic game last night. Dodgers getting the walk-off home run in the 18th inning from Freddie Freeman. And they play again tonight, right? Yeah, so
Ohtani on the bump.
Quick turnaround, Shohei on the bump. This one could be over pretty quickly, I think, especially the Blue Jays. Not sure how much depth they're going to have in their bullpen. And Shohei Ohtani usually is going to have the advantage in the pitching matchup when he's out there on the mound. So it's been a good World Series so far. I'm hoping the Blue Jays can at least get it back to Toronto and see what happens, but not so sure that's going to happen. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Did want to mention last night I was out there in Memphis for the Hoops for St. Jude Tip-Off Classic, and we did get to visit St. Jude. I don't know. Have you ever been there?
I've never been.
It's a special experience to go there and hear from the people who are working on, developing cures for childhood cancer and the treatment, and the stats that they gave us of before that hospital opened, it was basically a 20% chance to survive childhood cancer. And they've got that up to 80%, which is awesome. It's unbelievable. And I was very thankful to be able to go and tour that facility. And they played for a great cause last night, 2 games. The Vandy women beating the Memphis women. It was a back and forth game. Vandy got off to a strong start. Memphis pulled back within 5 in the third. And then Vandy put up 42 points in the fourth quarter.
That's crazy.
Michaela Blake's dropping 40 in an exhibition game. Again, I will implore everyone out there who has not come out to Memorial Gym to see Michaela Blake's play. You got to do it at some point this year. Home opener is November 10th, so that's your first chance. She is unbelievable to watch. And Aubrey Galvin next to her, she only played in the first half, but the freshman, she made some passes yesterday that, again, it's just like, it's Jason Williams. It's white chocolate. Like, what? How did she see that? How did she do that? So, again, I implore you to come out and watch this team. They will be home for the first time November 10th, but plenty of opportunities throughout the non-conference season to get out there. 40-point game for Michaela Blake's last night.
That's crazy. I was watching some of your highlights you posted on Twitter. I mean, 1, sounded great on the call.
Thank
2,
you.
Michaela Blake's, I mean, that how she finds some of those crevices inside the lane is crazy to me.
Well, I said it after one of those plays of like, she is so hard to guard because she can shoot from anywhere on the floor. She has ridiculous range, but if you come out too far on her, she's going to blow right past you and take it all the way to the rim. So it's so hard to guard her. She was unstoppable, especially in the fourth quarter last night. So excited to get started with the season. 6 days away from the opener against Cal. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Also, John Calipari's return to Memphis last night. I believe Arkansas got the win. We were watching a little bit on the bus on the way back, but, the World Series kind of took precedent at that point. Appreciate everybody texting in and calling in yesterday on our Reaction Monday. Plenty to react to today. Roger McCreary, just minutes after our show ended yesterday, gets traded to the LA Rams. Titans continue to trade away their cornerbacks. They have now turned a 7th-round pick into a 5th-round pick with the trades of Jarvis Brownlee and Roger McCreary. We'll talk about it coming up next and what the Titans' plan is for this offseason, where the holes continue to pile up on this roster. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you on this Tuesday morning. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. That was Mike McCoy yesterday addressing the trade of Roger McCreary to the Rams for a conditional 5th-round pick. The Titans also send a conditional 6th-round pick back to L.A. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. We are broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Not shocking news yesterday. There'd been a lot of smoke around Roger McCreary possibly getting traded. The return, underwhelming. But if that's the best offer you were getting and you had no intentions to keep Roger McCreary beyond this year, I get it. Like, I understand the decision. But, man, does it put you in a tough spot with that secondary, not only for the rest of this season with whatever scraps you have left in that room, but you now have 3 cornerback spots. You know, I'm going to make the assumption L'Jarius Sneed won't be on the roster next year. You're now going to have 3 starting cornerback spots that you have to fill in one offseason.
I mean, I said this Sunday with Joe on the NFL pregame show. I'm okay with the Titans getting rid of every single quality player they have, but I'm upset with the return they got for Roger McCreary. I would have at least have liked a 4th-round pick. I think anything 5th and down is just bad. Like, I think 4th, you can actually get value out of that. 5th-round pick, there's not much value unless you have the best scouts on planet Earth, which we know the Titans probably don't have. But I'm all for skipping 2026 and looking to 27. Meaning being is that you collect draft capital that you can somehow look into the future. Like, if you're a GM, you're kind of thinking, I think this team's probably going to be near the bottom of the totem pole. I'm going to trade with them. Even though they're probably competing right now, I'm going to trade with that team because I know later on in 27 or 26 draft, they're going to give me high draft capital.
Well, the Titans, the pick that they're likely going to get back is their own.
Yeah.
That was traded. It was in the Ernest Jones trade last year. They traded that pick for a 4th from the Rams with Ernest Jones. So it's disappointing because Roger McCreary is one of the few hits you've had in the draft over the last few years. And you already traded away Jarvis Brownlee, and you're only getting back minimal draft capital. You don't even get a clean pick back. Like, this team still only has 7 draft picks in this upcoming draft. Yeah. They have 1 in every round now, 1 through 7. You need more than that. And for Roger McCreary, I understand if you didn't feel like an extension was worth it for him, you got to get value where you can. But you have to look at it and say, all right, well, he is the one guy you can say was a success from 2020 to 2022. Did you see this? Those 3 draft classes. Do you know how many players are left on the Titans?
I think it's just Chigakonkwo.
It is just Chigakonkwo now, and there's a chance he's gone before the trade deadline coming up next week. It's tough to see these talented players get traded away for, pennies on the dollar, basically. Yeah. But that's what the market is at the trade deadline. We saw it with Kevin Byard a couple of years ago. Like, Kevin Byard was still a talented player. We're seeing it this year. He's got 4 interceptions. Not in his prime anymore. But all you got was, a 5th, 6th, and Terrell Edmonds, who all 3 of those players are no longer on the team. The Titans have to take advantage of what they can get for these expiring contracts, but you also look at it and say, man, we had one guy that we actually hit on over 3 drafts, and we just traded him for a late round pick swap.
Yeah, like it's front office malpractice, because if you can't give away one of your best players on defense for just a straight up pick, and you have to give up a 6th-round pick for it along with him, to me, that's front office malpractice. Either that shows an insecurity that the front office doesn't trust what they're doing, which is what it shows me, or you just simply don't know what you're doing.
I'm a little confused why they did it now, because you wonder if you wait closer to the deadline, if you could get a better offer, right? Like, that's where I am. Maybe that's the best offer on the table by far. I don't think the trade deadline in the NFL isn't like a lot of other sports where you can actually get a whole lot of value. Most of it is this. It's you're trading good players who can help contending teams for, a couple of picks late, if that. But I do wonder if you waited and put the pressure on those other teams that want Roger McCreary, like the Rams or somebody else. I wonder if maybe they would have upped their offer a little bit.
I think so. You maybe might have been able to squeak out a 4th, because I think that's the right value for Roger McCreary right now, because the Titans obviously didn't sign him to a longer deal. And nonetheless, if you sign him to a deal before the season, you're not getting rid of him, obviously, for that. But he was, I think, if you go into this mindset of the Titans saying that's one of your best players on defense, and you go into this offseason and say he's still on the roster, he's going to ask for a lot of money because there's nobody else on that roster that's good. So you're going to give up majority of your money to him? Nah, I'm all right with that. So it was the right move to move on from him. It's just the price is not there.
And I did see this narrative on social media yesterday of, I think, Titans fans, and maybe I would include myself in this too, overrate McCreary a little bit because he is just a good player on a horrible team, right? Like, he is a good player. Is Roger McCreary an elite player? Is he the best nickel in football? No. And you're going to have to pay. I saw his valuation on Spot Tracker or Over the Cap or whatever was like $14 million a year. And for the Titans, it doesn't make sense to pay anything close to that for a nickel cornerback with the way your roster is constructed right now. So they clearly didn't value it, and they made the move. The one thing I wonder is, if you waited a little bit longer, could you have gotten more? Could you have gotten a clean 5th-round pick for Roger McCreary instead of having to do the pick swap? Again, we're splitting hairs at this point. It's picks in the mid-hundreds that you're looking at right now.
But still, a 5th-round to a 4th-round pick, that could be the difference.
Well, and just getting the extra pick, right? Yeah, like, you did not get an extra pick in this trade. You just moved up 60 slots or so. And
your original pick.
That's right. You got your own pick back.
Yeah.
So what is it? You traded Ernest Jones and Roger McCreary for a 4th-round pick. That's basically it.
Yeah, a conditional 5th. Yeah.
Well, you got Gunnar Helm last year.
Yeah, Gunnar Helm. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So
still not a great.
See, I like that trade, and maybe that's what we end up looking back at this and say, would you rather have Ernest Jones right now on that extension he just signed or Gunnar Helm? And I think I would say Gunnar Helm. We don't know.
That's fair.
You know,
I think if Borgonzi is the one orchestrating all of this, getting back your original picks, I mean, it's a good thing, but you just got to make
picks are going to be high.
Yeah, exactly. But you just got to be able to. I think it's just a building process. That's how I'm trying to ideologize all this, is that if that's a word, if he's trying to just get those original picks back and just slowly build from the bottom, because that's what they're doing. And again, I reiterate what I said Sunday. I'm okay with the Titans fielding a practice squad team there on Sundays going forward this season and next season, because what Amy Adams-Strunk has done, along with everybody else in the front office, and the comment Eddie George said in the Tennessean, I think Mike Organ was the one on the story there. Excuse me. She set this team back, what, a decade is what he said? Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Around that number. Just do it. Do it now. Just rip the Band-Aid off, put a practice squad team out there the next 2 seasons, call it a day, have high draft capital, and just build through the draft.
I think that's what their plan is. I mean, we're seeing the skeleton crew they're putting out there now. Here is the cornerback room at this moment for the Titans. And they did make a waiver claim, or a claim off a practice squad yesterday. Michael Robinson from Green Bay, former Tulane Green Wave player, picked in the 7th round of this year's draft. So, you know, maybe there's some promise there. But outside of that, here is the cornerback room for the Titans. Jalen Armour-Davis, who has been really, really bad this season. Darrell Baker, who Baker has been serviceable for a waiver claim. Like, that's a guy that you put on the field and he's not going to be completely unplayable. But is he good? No. Samuel Womack, who has been active for 2 games since the Titans claimed him off waivers, and 6th-round rookie Marcus Harris.
That's abysmal, but I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and be okay with it. That's literally the only thing you can do, is you just have to look from the outside in and say, you know what? I'm on board. You're forced to say I'm on board.
Just hope that your fantasy wide receivers are playing the Titans the rest of the year. That's all I can say, because there is no one to cover them. Roger McCreary traded yesterday to the LA Rams, a conditional 5th, the highest 5th-round pick for the Rams, which is likely going to be the Titans, is coming back to Tennessee, and then the Titans trading their lowest of their 6th-round picks. Move up about 60 spots in the draft, which is good.
And for the Rams, they're okay with it, because look at what they've done with all that draft capital in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
They've turned a lot of those late round picks into really good players. So I would say really good serviceable players for them on a Sunday to Sunday basis.
Yeah. The the less need fart them picks. The the classic statement there. Roger McCreary, quickly, we were talking about the statement that he put out there.
Oh boy.
Misspelling Titans and Amy Adams Strunk's last name and calling them the Struck family, not the Adams family, the Struck family, was pretty funny. And then he misspelled Titans too. I think he put an extra I in there. It's like, I don't think it was intentional, but it'd be kind of funny if it was. Just on the way out, just be like, hey, to the Titans and the Struck family, thank you so much.
It just shows the dysfunctionality in that whole entire organization, if that was, implied for that. But again, it's probably not him putting out the statement. It's somebody making those graphics and all that. But hey, good for him. Good for him. He's finally out of Tennessee. He can enjoy his Bush's beans is what he endorses or whatever it is. Enjoy that in California.
He gets a chance to go play for a possible playoff team. And he plays in the stadium where he made, I believe, his most famous play. Again, it was against the Chargers in SoFi Stadium where he caught the ball and threw it back in bounds for an interception. That is the one play I think I'll always remember from Roger McCreary. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. So now that they've traded Roger McCreary, add another hole that the Titans have to fill. And I want to say this is now 3 years in a row that we've said there are too many holes to fill in one offseason. That can't keep happening. But let's talk about what the Titans can do this offseason. We'll do that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. That was Chad Brinker after the draft in April, talking about his goals for this team, trying to get to 30 top 100 picks, or 30, nah, that'd be good. 30 overall picks over 3 years, 12 top 100 picks over his first 3 seasons. He made 9 picks in his first, or in Mike Borgonzi's first year, and 3 of those in the top 100. Right now, you have 7 total picks, 3 in the top 100 this year. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up 1025, the game. I thought it was funny listening back to that clip, hearing Chad say, I wanted to get more. It wasn't Mike wanted to get more. It was I wanted to get more. So Mike may be in charge of choosing the players, but clearly Chad Brinker is in charge of making the trades up and down the draft.
He is the guy that says I do on that phone call, not Mike Borgonzi. Hey, Mike, do you want to answer this phone call? No. That's exactly what Chad Brinker does at press conferences, at phone calls, at lunch. Hey, Mike, you want me to cut your meat for you right here? You cool with that? You like steak medium rare?
Yep.
That's exactly what Chad Brinker is.
Well, Chad Brinker has made it clear he wants this team to be draft and develop. And in order to do that, you've got to have draft capital. Right now, you have 7 picks, 1 in each round. You basically recouped your 7 picks. I don't know if the 6th is actually the Titans anymore. The 6th and 7th may be different, but you got your 5th round pick back in the trade for Roger McCreary yesterday, but you still only have those 3 top 100 picks. The only way I can see this team actually being able to get to those goals of 30 total picks and 12 in the top 100 is you got to trade back, maybe not just this year, but maybe next year too, to continue to build up these resources. And I think that would be the odds-on favorite by far of what the Titans do with their first-round pick this year, is just trade out of it. Because, yeah, would Ruben Bain be great, or whoever the top edge rusher is? Alvarell Reese at Ohio State's a great player too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blanking on. TD had a player from Texas A&M that he brought up as well.
Cassius Howell.
Yes, Cassius Howell. Yeah, so there's plenty of good players, but you need lots of good players. You don't need just one good player. You need a ton.
Right.
There are too many holes on this team. And free agency, I know you have a lot of cap space, but free agency isn't going to fill all of them. You've got to be able to add more draft picks, and you got to start hitting on them.
Yeah, I was having a candid conversation yesterday with John McClain before he hopped on with Chase and Big Joe, and we were in agreement of this is a defensive-heavy draft where you could get a lot of really good day one players in a roundabout way. They may be on the 3rd or 4th round, but they still can be very serviceable on a day one, I guess, season 1. I mean, essentially for them. So, you look at teams, and you mentioned this during the break and not just now, about how you want to have a trade partner that can be 2 or 3 years down the road that may be picking in the top 5, whatever it may be. And that works out well for the aspect of collecting those top 100 picks, because if you don't do that, then you're just continuously doing the same cycle over and over again. You got to somehow get one step ahead of somebody else.
And I think the trades that the Titans have made it clear, kind of like you said, that 2026 is not going to be their year.
No.
Right? Like they're not looking to go from worst to first next year. Next year is going to be another rebuilding year. And I know that's not fun for Titans fans to hear, but everything the Titans have done and said basically tells you that they're looking at 2027 as the year that they can step back into being competitive. So the holes this offseason, I've got these. Wide receiver 1, I think you're going to need a new running back.
Yes.
I mean, maybe Pollard or Spears is still around, but I think you need a running back. Right guard. Do you feel good enough about Jackson Slater stepping in there? That's something that I don't know. We haven't seen him yet, but Kevin Zeitler's not going to be here next year.
Right.
I think all of the other 4 offensive linemen are sticking around. They've had to use too many picks on the offensive line that I think they're just going to leave it as is, and Dan Moore will be replaced in 2027.
Right.
You need at least one high-end edge rusher. You probably need 2 total. I think you need to use an early pick and a late pick on an edge. And then you need cornerbacks 1, 2, and 3. That's a lot of holes for a team with only 7 picks. And in free agency, yes, you have 120-something million in cap space. But as we've seen with this team, free agency usually doesn't fill those holes the way you hope it does. And even if you do find a guy who's serviceable, is he going to fit the timeline for this team to actually be a key player when you need it? Or is he just hey, let's patch this up for a year
Plug
and move
and play. On? Exactly. And you look at what the Titans have done in the past. They've grabbed a bunch of veteran players and paid them top dollar money. If you're Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker, discuss this a little bit to where you go, you know what? I like this 24, 25, 26-year-old that can be serviceable for us for like good 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Put him to a 2 to 3 year contract. I think a lot of guys, obviously, longevity reasons and financial reasons, you want to make sure you have a secure future with all that financial compensation.
Yeah.
But at the same time, 2 to 3 years, I think that's what you set on for a 26-year-old.
I think that is the free agency aisle that the Titans will be shopping in. They're not going to go after, I don't even know if there are a ton of big names out there, but they're not going to be shopping in the, hey, we need to spend 4 picks or 4 years, $96 million on Calvin Ridley. Yeah. That is his exact contract, I think. But they're not going to be shopping in that aisle. I think you're right. It's going to be guys off their rookie contract who show a little promise. You can get on the cheap for 1 to 2 years, maybe 3, and see what they can do. And guess what? You're not investing a whole lot if they don't work out, and you can replace them in the draft.
Yeah, you're not in a financial hole.
Alex Heron says the Titans have 11 picks this year. That is not true. Maybe you hope they have 11 picks eventually, but right now they have 7. They have 1 in each round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 after the trade yesterday with Roger McCreary. Let's go to our 6, 7. Let's go to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Our good friend Trey is on the line talking about Mike Borgonzi. Trey, good morning. What you got for us today?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Doing well.
Hey, I just want to say that I don't agree or like Mike Borgonzi. The simple fact is that because it seems like every time that he talks, he doesn't have anything specific to say about certain players that's on the team. He always had these generalizations about, different positions on the team. And I think he's running the team like a used car lot. Basically, he's going out getting veteran players, paying them all different kinds of money, and they're not withstanding what we need as far as the team. And then when he got hired, they asked Coach Andy Reid, what do you think about the Titans hired for the new GM? And he was like, who? And the reporter was like, Mike Borgonzi. And he kind of like smirked, like, that guy. And I knew then that it was going to be a failure. And that's why I don't like him. I think he's a scam artist, basically. And y'all have a good day. And thank you.
Thank you for the call, Trey. I wanted to look this up because that was not the impression I got when Andy Reid spoke on Mike Borgonzi. Here is the quote from Andy Reid on Mike Borgonzi. My hat goes off to Borgo going to Tennessee. He's now the enemy, but we're glad he was able to get that job as the general manager there. He's done a phenomenal job for us here. We love the guy, but he's on another AFC team now. So I don't agree with that. If you're looking for anybody to blame for the Titans right now, Mike Borgonzi should be at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yes.
Because at the very least, his draft picks seem to look competent, which is more than the last 4 draft classes can say. And free agency wise, he didn't go out and overspend. Dan Moore was obviously an expensive addition, but for a left tackle, that's the price you have to pay. And again, I don't think Dan Moore has been horrible this year. He hasn't been elite, but he hasn't been horrible. And I think that's what you expected. He has an out after 2 years. You need him to be competent for 2 years, and then you can draft somebody to replace him. But Mike Borgonzi, I think, is the last person that I would blame for anything going on here with the Titans.
Yeah, I mean, Borgonzi hasn't had much to really show for minus those draft picks. I mean, you could blame it more on Chad Brinker. He hadn't allowed him to really do his job, per se, from the outsiders looking in. Nobody really knows much about Mike Borgonzi other than some of the draft picks that he's attributed to.
Yeah.
I mean, Chad Brinker's been the one that's been on the phone and everything else. Like I started off the segment with, he's cutting his steak at lunch and all that. Like it's ridiculous.
I think Mike Borgonzi has a vision for this team.
Yes.
And I think his moves have made sense to accomplish that vision. And I know Titans fans are getting impatient. The team's been bad for 3 years, and you don't want to buy into another rebuild season in 2026. But I do think that Mike Borgonzi has a plan and he's sticking to it. He's trading away expiring contracts that he doesn't think fit this team's long-term vision. Jarvis Brownlee, we'll never know what happened behind the scenes there, but clearly that wasn't a culture fit. I think he is planning on trading back from whatever pick they end up with this year, and you hopefully add some assets. And we mentioned it. Maybe you trade to a team that comes up to get a quarterback. They take Fernando Mendoza or whoever ends up being. I mean, right now we don't really have a good grasp on who.
Lenore Sellers, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
At this point last year, Shedeur Sanders seemed to be the shoe-in number one pick at quarterback. So we don't know who's going to be the number one pick, but you would guess a team is going to fall in love with one of the smorgasbord of quarterback options out there in the draft this year. You trade that pick, maybe they end up having a year like you do this year with a rookie quarterback, and you can get the third or fourth overall pick.
Not with that scam artist, they're not.
Hey, have you been listening to the Titans on the radio again?
I asked him when I picked up the phone, I'm like, have you watched any more Cam Ward since yesterday?
Yeah.
And of course, he has not.
I really don't. I don't know how he was able to call in for 2 months and not actually have watched a single Titans game.
Well, it just goes to show you how his ears are. His ears don't like the way Cam Ward plays. His eyes may say differently.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll continue to talk Titans on the other side. What is the plan for this offseason? How do they fill in some of these holes to start building for 2027? Because again, that's kind of where we are at this point. They've got to be, when the new stadium opens up, you got to be competitive. We'll see if they can, use this trade deadline to add a couple more assets before it comes up next week. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you on this Tuesday. The Blue Raiders will take on Jacksonville State tomorrow at 6:30. Catch all of the action on Totally Hits 93.3 with coverage also available on the Totally Hits Nashville app and at totallyhitsnashville.com. Next man up here on 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025, The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly alongside you on this Tuesday. Titans made the trade yesterday, sending Roger McCreary to the Rams, getting a late round pick swap back. Now 2 cornerbacks that they've traded away and gotten similar returns for. The Titans have 7 picks. They're slowly moving them up a little bit higher in the draft, but in order to turn this team around, you need high draft picks. I think the only way to do that is to trade out. And where do they spend those picks is going to be the question. You were talking about it during the break about how you think all defense is the way to go. Just load up on the defense, and then maybe you wait for those 2 Maseratis waiting to be released.
Yes.
Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams coming out in 2027. You maybe say, hey, let's trade back. If we pick them another first in 2027, we can get the go-to wide receiver then. But you also have to make sure you're giving your rookie quarterback enough resources to have success, because the leash is going to get shorter and shorter and shorter. And if he has a bad year in 2026, it may be too late by the time you're able to get one of those top wide receivers in here.
Very true. But again, it goes back to our conversation about how you can go grab a 26-year-old you hope that's on an expiring rookie contract and say, you have to basically fool the agent and fool the player. And it kind of sounds mean in a roundabout way. We see a lot of bright future in you to come to Nashville and be Cam Ward's number 1 guy. Obviously, Alec Alexander is kind of forming into being that going forward, but we need you, ex-player, to be that number 1 guy for Cam Ward. And if you can get that buy-in from a player that's 26, 27 years old on a 2-3 year deal at a cheap offer, then you can kind of field that void that Cam Ward needs. And then you can go back to the draft and say, yeah, we still have this back in the fold. That's what you have to do. It's a game of chess. And if you play the game of chess wrong, which I'm not a good chess player, so it, again, kind of opens up my poker hand. But, I think that's something you have to look at.
Yes, I do think that you have to play the game a little bit here, and trading back is the only way you're going to be able to turn this around. You look at 2016 for the Titans. You traded back and you turned a 2-14 and then 3-13 team into a 9-7 team in 1 year. That's how you can do it. And you got to hope you end up towards the top of the draft. You got to hope there's a dance partner who wants to come up and take it from you. I do want to apologize. There's been some confusion about how many picks the Titans have. They do have 8. They have 8, not 7. So I was miscounting. They have 2 6th-round picks, not 1. So changes the whole outlook of what this team's going to look like.
Not 11. We know that for a fact.
Yes, they do not have 11. That was all of the picks that have come through the Titans at any point. So,
Gotcha.
like, maybe they had this pick at one point and then traded away.
Gotcha.
They do have 8 currently. They have a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Then the 2 best 6th of the 3 that they currently have. The other one will go to the Rams, and then they have the 7th. So there you go. You got 8. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. I think in free agency, I looked at the cornerback options, because you're not going to be able to get 3 starting cornerbacks in the draft next year with all of the needs that you have. We said wide receiver, edge, maybe a running back. You could take a cornerback early. You're going to probably need to take at least one, but I think you got to go in free agency. And man, the free agency options are not great. I mean, the names that I picked out that at least interest me a little bit, Amik Robertson, who's had a little bit of success with the Raiders and the Lions. Greg Newsome, who just got traded from the Browns to the Jaguars. I mean, he's former 2nd-round pick. He's had some success. And then maybe you want to go veteran, established guy who you sign on a 1-year deal. Will they want to come here and sign up for a bad team? I don't know, but like a Darius Slay, a Jair Alexander, those guys will be out there. But the simple fact is, you're not going to go find a guy who's going to start at cornerback for you for the next 4 years in free agency. That's one of those positions that you now have signed yourself up to take a cornerback in the top 100 at least twice in the next 2 years, because you traded away Jarvis Brownlee and Roger McCreary.
Yeah, and with the way this league is, developing and changing and evolving, all the above, you got to value cornerbacks like the quarterback of the defense, because everything is passing. I'd say 70% of the time easily. You're passing the ball majority of the time, and if you don't value the secondary the way you do your offense, then you're going to get burned 9 times out of 10, and teams are going to put up 30, 40 points like they are right now.
Yep, there's a reason why cornerbacks are starting to get paid the same as wide receivers, because it is very, very difficult to stop these elite guys on the outside, and the Titans right now are running out, I mean, basically a practice squad version of the cornerback room.
Again, I'm okay with it until it starts to go bad in 27. That's all I got to say.
I mean, I look at it, and yes, you have Marcus Harris, the rookie, who I think they're high on for the future. And maybe that's what they think, is that he's part of the solution moving forward. But your other 4 players that you have in that cornerback room, including Micah Robinson, who you brought in yesterday, all of them have been released from a 53-man roster in the last 2 years. Like, those are not guys who should be starting cornerbacks for this team. And it's going to be ugly the rest of the year. This is a team that Parker and I had the conversation yesterday. Do they win another game this year? And I'm not confident that they do.
The one game I have circled on my calendar is against the New Orleans Saints.
I think the Browns and the Saints are the only 2 that you can look at and say, maybe there's a chance.
I think they have no chance against Cleveland.
Right.
That defense is
Myles Garrett just game wrecking, but he had 5 sacks on Sunday and they lost by 19.
Look, if there's a game where you want Cam Ward to not play in, it's against Cleveland. You don't want to get your franchise quarterback hurt against Myles Garrett.
Yeah. Do they make up a, shoulder soreness for Cam Ward that week?
Concerns.
Brandon Allen, you get out there and you get hit 8 times by Myles Garrett. This is what we signed you for.
Yeah, take the beating.
That's
exactly it.
It's funny. That's basically what I do when I play like the college football video game. It's like, if I'm playing a team that I know I'm going to beat, but my quarterback's a little banged up, just bench him and throw somebody else out there to take the hits. Maybe that's the Titans' plan.
I mean, football is a different version of war in a roundabout way. You got to put out some of your best guys. Sometimes you don't.
Hey, Cam, is your hamstring a little tight this week? Why don't you just sit down? We're going to be careful with you this week. Myles Garrett can go hit Brandon Allen for 4 quarters.
Love that.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll talk more Titans later on in the show. Wanted to organize our thoughts on the Titans head coaching candidates, because as much as the roster building is probably the most important thing for this Titans rebuild, you got to find the right guy in charge. And there have been a lot of names thrown out there since the Titans fired Brian Callahan just over 2 weeks ago. But yesterday, I was on Twitter. I was called a Vandy homer, which, again, I'm not going to deny it, because I'm a company man. I do work over at Vanderbilt, so I'm not going to deny that I have a little bit of black and gold going here.
I'll stick up for you, though. It was not a homer take.
But I said yesterday that I think Vandy is in the playoff at 10-2 and was called a homer for that. So, you know what? We're going to dive deep, and we are going to look at the math of what a 10-2 Vanderbilt could be staring up against if they're trying to make the college football playoff. We'll do that coming up next. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 1025, The Game, hour number 2 on this Tuesday. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly broadcasting live from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership with a buzz is always about great service. We talked Titans in the first hour. We'll get back to the two-tone blue, but did want to cross over to college football. Vanderbilt, the number 9 team in the country, getting ready to take on Texas on the road this weekend. And a win would set them up to just have to beat Auburn and Kentucky to get to 10 wins and likely a college football playoff spot. Now, we've been saying for months, in fact, you hear it in the intro every single hour, 10 wins as an SEC school, you're in. Is that true? Because that's kind of the assumption that I've made in my head is if Vandy gets to 10 wins, they're going to play in the playoff. But I was told yesterday that that may not be as true as I think. So I wanted to actually go through and see what the math looks like for a 10-2 Vanderbilt team and what they would need to happen in order to earn a bid to the college football playoff. So I know Parker has some thoughts on this. He's been working on the All-State playoff predictor from ESPN. So we'll get Parker's thoughts too. But just looking at bids that we know are going to happen, at least we're 90% sure at the least. Of course, you're getting a group of 5. Likely the winner of the American is in. The winner of the ACC is in. The winner of the Big 12 is in. You're getting 3 from the Big 10. I feel pretty safe saying Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon are all going to be in. So that's 6. The SEC is going to get a champion. And I would say you're looking at the teams ahead of Vandy in the AP poll right now. A&M, Bama, Ole Miss, Georgia. Feel decent about them. So that puts you at 10. Notre Dame is a wild card because if they win out, they go 10-2. They'd be the 11. And then I guess you have to make the point of if it's 10-2 Tennessee, 10-2 Vanderbilt, but Tennessee beat Vanderbilt, then Tennessee would get that bid. So I understand the thought of, yes, in that scenario where all of those teams win the rest of their games and you got, 3 11-1 SEC teams and maybe a 10-2 Alabama or something like that. And Notre Dame's 10-2 and Tennessee beats you and you're both 10-2. I can see a scenario where Vandy gets left out. But is that the most likely scenario that every team in playoff contention is going to win out from here on?
Probably not.
That's probably not. Yes, that is where I was looking at it is, okay, I guess maybe I have to look and say, okay, in this exact scenario where Vandy's only loss the rest of the year comes at Tennessee and all these other teams that are fighting run the table. Like Ole Miss's schedule's pretty easy, right? Getting through Oklahoma was big for them. Their last 4 games, South Carolina at home, the Citadel, Florida at home.
They have a tough game at the end of the year.
And then the Egg Bowl in Starkville.
It's a tough game.
It always is.
Yep.
One of the greatest rivalries in sports.
Should be on Thanksgiving, by the way. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Amen.
Yeah,
amen.
That should be Thanksgiving night.
I like eating turkey sandwich with a lot of gravy on it and falling asleep to cowbells.
Watching the Egg Bowl.
It's like Christmas 2.0.
It's a tradition unlike any other. For Alabama, you've got a lot of home games as well. 3 straight home games after the bye week. LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois. That's a tough one. And then at Auburn in the Iron Bowl. So if I'm looking right now, I think Ole Miss, Alabama, both in safely. Texas A&M is an interesting one because they are undefeated, and that gives them a lot of leeway, and I think I would safely put them in. But you do play at Missouri. Who knows who their quarterback is going to be? Probably Zollers. Prebula, I think, is out for a while at least, even though not quite as serious as we thought initially. South Carolina at home, Samford at Texas. So let's put those 3 in. I think that's pretty safe. Georgia. This is where I wanted to look because Georgia plays Georgia Tech at the end of the year. And I think if you're looking at this exact scenario, because this scenario goes away if Vandy loses to Texas but wins their last 3. Because then Tennessee would be knocked out, and I think Vandy would be safely in. But Georgia plays Georgia Tech at the end of the year. That one could end up being a huge game for everybody else in the playoff field because Georgia still has a couple of tough games left. They play Florida, who That one's or actually, that's the world's biggest cocktail party. So I feel good about Georgia winning that one. At Mississippi State, who's been frisky. Texas,
Yeah.
But if they lose one of those games and then have to play Georgia Tech in Atlanta, maybe they lose that game and they're out. Like that's basically for Vandy to not get in as a 10-2 team. I think everybody else would have to run the table.
What if Georgia Tech goes 10-2? Say they lose to Georgia and they go to the ACC championship
and
game
lose.
And they lose because the committee said, yeah, we're not going to put conference championship games in the factor for this.
That's interesting because that happened with SMU last year.
Right.
And it was a 9-3 Alabama team that they left out, but that is an interesting point as well. What if Georgia Tech is 11-2 with their second loss being in the ACC championship game and their only other loss is to Georgia? Yeah. And that's why, maybe I was premature saying it's almost a lock at 10-2, but I find it hard to believe that every other team competing is going to just win out. There's chaos in college football all the time.
Here's the tricky part about Georgia Tech is they play Pitt before they play Georgia. And Pitt is a trap game because Pitt is better than a lot of people give them credit for. They have a guy by the name of Desmond Reed, who is a first-team All-American. And then that's a look-ahead spot because you could just look past Pitt.
That is true.
To Georgia. So that's a trap game. Then if they win that, lose to Georgia, what if they do lose the ACC championship game? I don't think the ACC is a two-bid league this year.
I don't think so either. And it could work out if you get 11-1 Miami against 11-1 Georgia Tech in the ACC championship game. It gets hard to leave either of those teams out. So that could be a wrench in Vandy's playoff hopes.
Here's another wrench. Go to the Big 12. Texas Tech goes and wins out. They only have one loss in their schedule.
And BYU as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, but I still think with the strength of schedule for Vanderbilt at 10-2, I think they are in. And a lot of times these things have a way of sorting themselves out, right? Like we look at it right now and say, all of these teams could be in. There's 20 teams that could be in, but we saw it a couple weeks ago. Like Miami and Texas Tech looked to be cruising, and they both hit bumps in the road against unranked teams. Like it happens all the time. And Vandy could very well be the team to hit a road bump, right? Like they could drop a game against Auburn that they're not expecting to. But I think if we're just saying purely in the hypothetical that Vandy is 10-2 with their only other loss being at Tennessee, that's a tough resume to leave out of the playoffs. You got 10 wins. You got road wins at South Carolina, at Texas, at Virginia Tech. You've got home wins against LSU and Missouri, and your only losses would be against other playoff teams on the road, right? Because in that scenario, Tennessee would be in, Alabama would be in.
Correct.
I don't know if you can leave Vanderbilt out there, even if it's against a 11-1 Miami whose loss is against Louisville at home. Right?
Yeah, you can't leave him out. Yeah, no, absolutely not. And I also looked at this percentage factor, the plays per efficiency on ESPN's FPI ranking. Vandy ranked 7th in the nation out of all these teams in the top 25.
Yeah.
I think if you're the committee, you also put that into factor of things, because if you're looking at not NFL, but TV rights and so forth, you want to have a good product out there.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are like, let's look at the efficiency numbers. This team puts up a lot of numbers. They're going to draw a lot of eyeballs to the screen.
Well, and the point I also make is it's made for TV, and everybody's going to make the point of, oh, Vandy's not going to get in because they don't want to have Vandy in the playoffs. I think TV wants Diego Pavia in the playoffs.
Absolutely.
I think if there's an excuse to get Diego Pavia in, I think they're going to do it. And I saw a projection earlier this week of one corner of the bracket would be Indiana getting a bye with the winner with Indiana taking on the winner of Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech. Like, crazy stuff in college football. DP on the YouTube chat, big Vandy fan I see, says Vandy will go ahead and win out, so there is no question. And that is an important point to make, is that Vanderbilt still controls their own destiny no matter what. You're 11-1. They're probably hosting a playoff game. But just for the sake of conversation, 10-2 I think is the dividing line. Like last year, 9-3 in the SEC gave you a chance to get in. Not this year. And DP also makes an important point of, in order to get to this scenario, Tennessee would have to win out to get to that game against Vanderbilt. You got to beat Oklahoma. You got to beat Florida in the Swamp. If they drop one, Tennessee's eliminated, and it's all null and void. So that's the point that I'm trying to make is, yes, if Vandy gets to 10-2 and everybody else who's competing for a playoff spot takes care of their business too, then sure, there's a chance that Vandy gets left on the outside looking in. But I just find it hard to believe that no one else is going to slip up for the rest of the year.
A lot has to happen for Vandy not to be in the playoffs.
Yes.
Not a lot has to happen for Vandy to be in the playoffs.
Yes.
And that's a good thing to have.
Vandy needs to go 3-1 and just get a little bit of help. Notre Dame slip up, drop a game. Tennessee slip up, drop a game. The ACC beat each other up a little bit. That you just need a little bit of help if you get to 10-2. So I would say 11-1, 100% chance you're in. 10-2, I'll go 90% chance.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of help.
And also, you look at this as well. The Big 12 I mentioned earlier with a lot of one-loss teams. Cincinnati takes on Utah this weekend, I believe. You have Texas Tech taking on another, I think BYU is what it is. If those teams can kind of cannibalize each other, that helps out Vandy.
That's what the
immensely.
SEC has been doing this year is they've been beating each other up. Like Oklahoma looked like they were in a good spot to make the playoff. They lose to Texas. They lose to Ole Miss. Now their back's against the wall. You got an elimination game in Neyland this weekend. Loser of that game is out. So there's a lot of football left to be played. But Vanderbilt has 4 games left to try and punch their ticket. And I think that's all you can ask for at this point in the year. Nevada Josh says Vandy is going to smoke Texas. You heard it here first. So we'll see this weekend down in Austin.
Look, I'm going to say this right now. Texas is a whole different team under their backup quarterback. I think Arch Manning.
Are you saying good or bad?
They're good. Excuse me. I say they're bad. I'm sorry.
No. Are you saying they're better without Arch Manning?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I guess my words are not great this morning. Sorry.
Well, no, you said they're a whole different team. I didn't know if you meant in a good or a bad way.
Yeah, I meant to emphasize it. They're a better team without Arch Manning. I mean, we saw it against Mississippi State. Obviously, that fourth quarter allowing 17-point deficit in some aspects. They go win in overtime.
Yeah.
It only took one pass. It took one pass for Texas to say, you know what? This game's over with.
Preseason Heisman favorite now is addition by subtraction when he's out of the lineup.
His grandfather was right. He's going to stay another year, man.
I think he is.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty safe bet. He's in concussion protocol this week, so we'll see if he's going to be able to play on Saturday against Vanderbilt. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Parker went through the playoff predictor, and I want to get his thoughts on this situation coming up next. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly alongside you. Talking college football playoff. We are a month away from the final regular season game of the college football season. Crazy how fast this season always flies by, but we are getting into crunch time. Lots of teams vying for those 12 playoff spots. Vanderbilt is one of them, currently the number 9 team in the country. We're just going through some playoff math. What bids are already kind of locked up? You feel good about 3 Big Ten teams and, of course, a champion from the ACC, the Big 12, and the Group of 5. So that would leave you with 6 spots for the SEC and at large, right? So you look at 6 spots. The SEC, possible they get all 6 of them. Likely more like 4 or 5. Who could those teams be? And if Vanderbilt gets to 10-2, would it be them? We think yes. You know, you'd need a couple of other results to go your way if you're 10-2, but in college football, there's always a little bit of chaos. And Parker Kelly was going through the playoff predictor. I wanted to get his insights on how this may all sort out over the next 4 weeks.
Okay, so I asked the question yesterday, would a 10-2 Vandy team make the college football playoff? And surprisingly, there were a lot of people who bashed me for asking the question. So I went to the good old handy all-state playoff predictor on ESPN, and I just looked, and this is all hypothetical. If Vanderbilt were to be 10-1 by the time they got to Knoxville and they lost to the Vols, they would be 10-2. So I went to the playoff predictor. I put that in. Not only would they be favored to make the playoff, they would have a 96% chance to make the playoff, but they would have a 69% chance to host a first-round game. So not only would they make the playoff, but they would be favored to host as well.
Yeah, I see that now. I just plugged in what you had, and this has Vanderbilt with a 96% chance to make the playoff, a 7% chance at a first-round bye, 69% chance to host the first round. In this scenario, it has Vanderbilt as the 7th seed in this out of 200,000 simulations or whatever. Vanderbilt is the 7th seed taking on Texas Tech in this simulation. This also has Tennessee getting in. So in this scenario from ESPN, you've got Alabama, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, and Georgia. So they've got 6 SEC teams in, which unlikely. I would say I would probably set the over under at 4.5.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right?
6 is too beefy.
But that's I had not used this playoff predictor before. It's very helpful. Yeah. So 96% chance to make the playoff if they go 10-2. Feels pretty safe to me. And we said 90% chance. I think 96 sounds about right to me too. Right now, it has them with a 44% chance to make the playoff, but I would assume that would go up exponentially if you beat Texas this weekend.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that Vanderbilt would host. I disagree with that. I think they'd make the playoff.
I agree.
But I don't think they'd host.
I think 10-2 gets you to probably the 10 seed, right? Like, I think that's probably where you end up. You're ahead of the Group of 5 champion, maybe ahead of the Big 12 champion, but Vandy would probably be at 10-2, one of the last 2 at-large teams in, if you're 10-2. But you're still in. And for Vanderbilt, who was laughed at when they said that they wanted to go to the college football playoff this year, 10-2, I will say this, 10-2 at the very least makes you have a watch party.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the dividing line of like, did you put yourself in a position to have a watch party feeling like you're going to get into the playoff? And no one wants to be Florida State and sit there and watch you get left out. But that's kind of where the way I look at it is, do you feel good enough about your playoff chances to sit down and have everybody together with a camera from ESPN on you? I think 10-2 is a for sure yes, that they're having that situation.
Yeah, you just hope that second game they lose is not by a big margin, because you mentioned it a few weeks back, Jake, when I was on with you on a Tuesday. It was I believe you mentioned saying that a lot of these games played in November mean a lot more than they do when it was in August.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you have a game where you lose by 3 scores, that's going to play a bigger factor than it did in August.
Yeah. Recency bias shouldn't be a factor in selection, but it is. It really is Alabama, no one's going to remember the Florida State loss if they go 11-1, even though that may end up being one of the worst losses among playoff contenders, right? Like Florida State's been horrible this year. No one's going to remember that if Alabama wins their other 11 games heading into the playoff. They might, at that point, they might be the top overall seed if they go win the SEC. But if Vanderbilt loses to Tennessee in the last game of the season and the last data point you have is Vandy dropping that game, that could sway the committee's mind one way or the other.
Now, say Alabama, you mentioned Alabama real quick. Say they lose another game, say it's to Oklahoma or Auburn, the Iron Bowl at the end of the year. Does that put them at the bottom of the totem pole with those 10-2 teams?
It's a good question.
Because then you now have to factor that Florida State game in there.
It does help Alabama that Florida State's a non-conference game, because if you're 7-1, you'd still have a chance to get into the SEC title game and you control your own destiny at that point. But I do agree with you that if you're stacking up 10-2 resumes, Alabama having that loss would hurt them against certain teams. If it's Alabama versus Vanderbilt, we have a head-to-head result. If it's Alabama versus Tennessee, we have a head-to-head result. So Alabama would get the edge there. But if it's Alabama, Ole Miss, and they're both 10-2, and one of them has a loss to Florida State, and let's say Ole Miss's losses are to Georgia, and their schedule's pretty easy. Georgia and
Georgia,
Mississippi State, maybe at the end of the year. I don't know.
Or Georgia Tech.
That would be an interesting conversation to have, because that Florida State loss isn't good, but obviously Alabama's wins over Georgia, Vanderbilt, Tennessee, I guess they came back against South Carolina.
Yep.
Like, all those wins are going to help them in that process as well.
Yeah, I'm looking at Georgia's schedule right now. They have Texas left on their schedule, Charlotte, Georgia Tech, Mississippi State, Florida. So, like, they could slip up, but, you know.
Probably not. But that is an interesting conversation to have, because that loss probably is one of the worst among these playoff contenders. How do you rate that when it comes to judging these teams? The good news for Alabama is, if you're being compared against the other SEC teams, you do have that head-to-head result, which I think that should always be the deciding factor.
It should value more than that. Yeah.
Like, hey, if you're deciding that 2 of 3 between, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia get in, it's like, well, Alabama beat Georgia, Georgia beat Ole Miss. There you go.
Yeah.
But I hate that, because it's like Ole Miss didn't get a chance to play Alabama, but you have to take the results on the field and actually care about them, right? Like, the games have to matter.
Yeah, and normally when Ole Miss were to play Alabama in this scenario, like, they normally have to play Alabama to get in. And for this case, like, they don't have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And normally that's Lane Kiffin's, taking care of his destiny in a roundabout way, but not this year.
Lots of football to sort out. This is a huge weekend coming up. Vanderbilt, I would argue they're in the driver's seat, but you could get even further if you can beat Texas this weekend, because then you come home with a chance to win 2 games against a 1 win in the SEC Auburn team, a winless in the SEC Kentucky team, and boom, you've got 10 wins. This is a huge week for Vanderbilt. Tennessee, elimination game against Oklahoma. Josh Heupel's alma mater. Like, can you pull it off again and keep your playoff hopes alive? Because if you get through this one, you start to feel pretty good about heading into that Thanksgiving matchup, weekend of Thanksgiving matchup against Vanderbilt with 9 wins.
I don't know.
It's a big one.
It's a
big one. Tennessee, Oklahoma on Saturday. That is the night game on ABC, 6:30 from Neyland Stadium. Vanderbilt and Texas, they get going at 11 a.m. So both the in-state teams need a win bad this weekend. We'll see how it all works out. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you on this Tuesday. When we come back, we'll get back into the Titans. Head coaching candidates are being thrown out here left and right. I want to organize our thoughts. I want to see where Nick Frazier stands on some of these top candidates, and I kind of want to know where I stand, because when I put them all together, it's kind of splitting hairs for some of these guys. But the Titans are going to have some tough decisions to make when they start interviewing guys over the next couple of months. We'll talk about head coaching candidates coming up next. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. Talking some college football to start the hour. Vanderbilt, number 9 in the country, trying to reach the college football playoff. They'll take on Texas this weekend. Tennessee, just on the outskirts of the playoff field right now. They will face Oklahoma on Saturday night. But let's transition back to the Tennessee Titans. Titans have the head coaching vacancy, currently the only one in the NFL. And I'm sure that's going to change very shortly, although it doesn't seem like it's going to be a crowded market this year, right? Like, I look at it, I say the Dolphins are going to fire Mike McDaniel. Maybe the Giants fire Daboll. I know he entered the year on a maybe one of the hottest seats ever to start a season. It was basically like, you better win this year or you're out. And yeah, they've shown some promise, but they're still 2-6. Other coaches that could be on their way out, there's really not a ton. Stefanski, maybe, if Cleveland gets a little tired there.
I could see it because, like, that team's going nowhere. They're dysfunctional like
Yeah.
the Titans, so maybe a breath of fresh air somewhere else helps them. But
there's been rumors about Harbaugh too, and I doubt it. John Harbaugh, that is. I doubt it that the Ravens are going to move on after one injury-plagued season.
Like, if you look at John Harbaugh and that Baltimore Ravens team, if you have one bad season, you have good draft capital to really do something with it, and you just add to what you already have. I think that's obviously, that's 1 year less of Derrick Henry and stuff, but like, you got to look at it that way, where you can look at the optimistic mindset of it.
Right. And there are a couple others that are probably on the bubble. Are Kellen Moore and Aaron Glenn one and done? I would doubt it. I don't think they're going to fire them after 1 year. Raheem Morris is kind of the seats warming up. I mean, you gotten blown out by the Panthers and the Dolphins this year. You're 3-4, but that has to count for something, that you're not competitive against teams that are not very good. And then Jonathan Gannon in Arizona would be interesting, but that's what? Tops 5, 6, and I would guess less than that openings this year. So it's not like the Titans are going to have a ton of competition for these candidates. And there's been a ton that have been thrown out by us, by texters, by media, fans, everybody. And I have 5 that I think have been the most widely suggested for the Titans. And I want to see your rankings 1 through 5. So I'm going to list these off. Should we do these blind rankings? No. That wouldn't give us the result that we're looking for. I'll read them off. Mike McCarthy, former head coach of the Packers and the Cowboys. Matt Nagy, former head coach of the Bears, current offensive coordinator of the Chiefs. Cliff Kingsbury, former head coach of the Cardinals, current offensive coordinator with the Arizona Cardinals. Arthur Smith, former head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, also former OC with the Titans, now with Pittsburgh. And then Robert Saleh, former Jets head coach, now with San Francisco. But I will put the disclaimer here of Saleh includes a Mike McDaniel offensive coordinator as well, because that's been a suggestion that's been thrown out there a ton. So,
right.
Where do you stand on these guys? Who would you say out of that group of 5 is your favorite option for the Titans?
Again, I'm sticking to my guns here. I said this 2 weeks ago. I think I was one of the first ones to say it. I like Robert Saleh. Obviously, we talked about it off the air that he's probably good enough to just be a defensive coordinator. But I think for the Titans' sake, the direction they're in right now, they need a defensive-minded coach.
I could see it.
I mean, this is a team where we talked about earlier in the show. They have so many holes on that defense to where they need somebody that has a defensive mind that knows what to do, to think 3 steps ahead. That's the guy right there. I think Robert Saleh is the guy. Would I sacrifice a Mike McDaniel offense?
I mean, I think Mike McDaniel would be a fine coordinator. Like, you see the play calling that he does in Miami, lots of creativity, and I think he could mold Cam Ward well. But, he hasn't been fired yet, first of all. And we don't know what Saleh and McDaniel's relationship is. Yes, they did work together in San Francisco, but it's making an assumption to guess that Saleh's hired, Mike McDaniel would be his coordinator. But that has been the package deal that a lot of people have discussed.
Yeah, and you have to go back and look at history and see what that roster was constructed as, to see who the quarterback was and so forth, all that. But like, I look at this Robert Saleh idea would be great for the Titans, probably because of defense. But then you look at Cliff Kingsbury and the success he's had in the NFL, especially with the Commanders.
Yeah.
And that's primarily been because he's revolved his offense around the quarterback. It's been, either it's Marcus Mariota or Jaden Daniels. both of those guys, like last night, I thought Marcus had a really good game, minus the fact they lost 28-7. I thought he played pretty well. You can't knock him for the interception in the first quarter off Deebo Samuel's helmet. You can't knock him for that. But I thought a lot of the curated runs that he had were smart. It was smart adjustments. And I think Cliff Kingsbury has done well with whatever quarterback he's had in the NFL, adjusting to their play skill. And I think when you look at Cam Ward, that's something that you need to see in your next offensive coordinator is to curate around Cam Ward.
Yeah, including your favorite guy, Kyler Murray.
Hey,
that partnership with
5
Cliff
foot
Kingsbury.
nothing, baby. That kid's something else.
See, I wouldn't mind Saleh. I think that could end up being the right move. If you need to build a culture,
Correct.
first of all, like that is, yes, you want a guy who's going to come in and develop Cam Ward, but I think culture building and leadership should be the first priority. A guy who's going to come in and I've said it plenty of times, isn't going to be learning on the job. Guy who comes in and he's going to command that room from the second he opens the door. Hey, this stops now. We are not going to be the laughing stock of the league anymore. We're going to start turning this around. Saleh could be that guy.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people look at Robert Saleh and knock him for the time he had in New York with Aaron Rodgers. I think he got a bad rap for that. It was just an unfortunate event. I think Rodgers kind of dictated a lot of that team, and Saleh didn't have much say on that. And plus, the team was kind of injury-riddled near the latter end of that year.
Yeah.
So then that's kind of what led to his departure and trying to figure out where he needed to go next.
I agree. Saleh didn't get much of a fair shake with the Jets. I also wonder if, I'm sure he realizes how dysfunctional the Jets franchise was. Does he sign up for another franchise that is looking like it has a lot of dysfunction going on?
I mean,
I don't know.
Here's the deal. Robert Saleh, and there's something that lines up well with what I'm about to say. Robert Saleh has direction. From what we've seen and heard about Mike Borgonzi, seems to have direction.
Yeah.
That's two things that Titans fans should be very happy about. Direction, transparency. I think that's something those two bring to the table. As for Chad Brinker, just leave that off to the side.
Wish we could.
Yeah.
You mentioned Cliff Kingsbury. We've got Joe in the YouTube chat who is very high on Cliff Kingsbury. I mean, I get it. He is a creative offensive mind. He did have success with the Cardinals at times. It obviously didn't end well. And he developed Jaden Daniels last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jaden Daniels with likely the greatest rookie quarterback season of all time, getting the Commanders to the NFC Championship game. It's really impressive. I wouldn't hate Cliff Kingsbury, but I think I would go with the three that we haven't mentioned yet above those two. I like Saleh. I really do. I do think that Mike McCarthy would be my favorite still. Yeah. I've stuck by that since they fired Callahan, even before they fired Callahan. The proven winner, and I just don't think you have to worry about any kind of dysfunction or incompetency within that program. Like, he's going to come in and know what he's doing. He's going to hire coaches who know what they're doing. I would feel good with Mike McCarthy that this isn't going to be a complete mess like it has been the last couple of years. And I think that's probably just, wanting to swing it back from Callahan. It's like, all right, well, Callahan was a first-time head coach. Let's go get a two-time head coach to be the next guy. But I wouldn't hate Nagy or Smith either. Honestly, all five of those names, if we see the tweet from Ian Rappaport in January of the Titans are hiring any of those five guys as the head coach, I think that's a good hire. Any of those five guys.
Yeah, I think if I had to go 1 through 5, number 5 on that list for me would be Matt Nagy.
I could see that.
I mean, all the other guys have more of a higher pedigree, in my opinion. I think Nagy, sure, he gets a bad rap from time to time, but sure, this is a good, solid 5 list. I think one name that was left off and probably won't get another head coaching job, or maybe he might, I don't know. Brian Flores. I think he has a really good job with structuring together a really good defense.
I agree.
Got a really good buy-in in Miami when he was there. Just unfortunate. So
the baggage there is the question mark.
Right.
And it is tough to say, like, oh, he's suing the league. Is he going to go take a head coaching job? I don't know. But I do agree. Robert Flores, if you're looking for a defensive guy in the same vein as Robert Saleh, Flores would certainly be in there too. Joe in the YouTube chat says, playing too safe with McCarthy, in my opinion. And that may be a good point. That may be true. I think safe is a good option. I want high floor head coach here, right?
Yeah.
Like if you want high ceiling, you go with Joe Brady, who, first time head coach, maybe it is a disaster, but he also could be Sean McVay. Like that's your high floor, or opposite, high ceiling, low floor pick. I think Mike McCarthy is you know what you're getting. It is safe, but you're able to go in with some structure into next season instead of hoping that somebody who maybe hasn't been successful as an NFL head coach or hasn't done it before is going to immediately turn things around.
Yeah, and under Mike McCarthy, if that were to be the case, there are a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's probably a handful of guys that are in the free agent market right now that have played under McCarthy that he knows he can get this X amount of potential out of them.
Yeah.
Or if it's a veteran player, I know I can get this amount at least out of this guy. So maybe that's another way of reorganizing that culture that the Tides are trying to build from the bottom up. I'm still on the solid train primarily because he's a guy that can bring grit defensively. And I think if you can establish grit and culture defensively, it just oozes to the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, it's just about when Robert Saleh walks in the door, just like Brian Callahan, we need a depth chart of all of the coaches you want to hire. Better get every number one option.
Do you think it's less than 27 people on staff?
27?
Yeah. That's how many is on the Titans staff. That's
wow.
start of the season.
Well, and I saw yesterday the report that they extended all of Brian Callahan's assistants last year, which I don't know. Was it only a 2-year deal for those guys when they signed up? Because I understand in all of sports, you never want somebody coaching on their last year of their deal.
Right.
So I'd have to read the article a little bit closer, but I'd
assume
it's a little bit like all those guys are going to be gone. And now Amy Adams Strunk not only paying 3 GMs, she's going to be paying 2 head coaches and 2 full coaching staffs next year.
That's bad. I pulled up a tweet earlier. I was talking to you about this before the show. I think it was minus the Derrick Henry era. It was somewhere on Twitter that the Titans were 7 and this was 2 weeks ago. So 7-34 and minus the NFL revenue sharing. That's $440 million. They were working at a negative $350 million a season. Like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's not
according to Twitter.
Right. And the revenue sharing obviously saves you because every NFL team gets a large chunk of money, $400 million plus. But yeah, I mean, it's not good.
No, it goes to show you they need some change for sure.
We'll talk about it on the other side. We brought up the point yesterday of could this be the emptiest game in Nissan Stadium history? Like the more I think about it, there might be like 15,000 people in that stadium on Sunday.
Maybe less.
It's going to be bad. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We'll take your thoughts on the Titans head coaching candidates and much more. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you on this Tuesday, wrapping up hour number 2, talking Titans as they have the only head coaching opening currently in the NFL. Lots of names being thrown out. We talked about some of the most popular names that have been linked to the Titans: Mike McCarthy, Arthur Smith, Matt Nagy, Robert Saleh, Cliff Kingsbury. All good options, all bring different things to the table. Let's go to our phone lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Dylan is on the line wanting to chime in. Dylan, thanks for calling. What you got for us?
Hey, guys. Yes, I just want to talk to you for a second about this. So I feel like the most important thing that we should be looking for is someone who can navigate a rebuild. So if you think Robert Saleh, he was put in charge of the Jets to try to rebuild that franchise, and it did not go well. If you bring in someone like Joe Brady, I feel like you're setting the team up and that coach up for failure. I mean, he's going to be a first-time head coach, and he is going to have just overwhelming pressure to try and, turn the franchise around. And I would feel good with him if he brings in the right people to surround himself with, but we don't know if he's going to do that or not. So I feel like it's going to be a lot on his plate, the same way Callahan was kind of overwhelmed his first year. And then you look at McCarthy, and I feel like he's always had a really good quarterback for really good franchises. I mean, Packers and Cowboys, those are two of the best franchises ever, and they've always been surrounded with talent and good structure at the top. And so I feel like it's just kind of hard to try and pick and choose when the main thing is navigating a rebuild. And so I just want to hear what you guys have to say about that.
That's a good point, Dylan. Thanks for the call. I do agree with you that you don't want somebody who is a first-time head coach having to come into this tough situation where the leash probably isn't going to be all that long to try and at least get things heading in the right direction. And a first-time head coach, we saw it with Callahan, sometimes it takes a year to, not feel like you're drowning. And then who knows, maybe you can't even figure it out then, like we saw with Brian this year. So I think head coaching experience is big. And you make a good point with Mike McCarthy that he did step into some decent situations with the Packers and the Cowboys. Maybe you do go with a Cliff Kingsbury, who Cliff has been in a very similar situation. He took that Cardinals job with the number 1 overall pick. They took Kyler Murray. And again, I'm not saying Kyler Murray is Patrick Mahomes, but he's been through this situation before of trying to turn a bad team into a decent team. And he got the Cardinals to the playoffs. Maybe that's a plus for bringing in Kingsbury.
If you were to bring in Cliff Kingsbury, it's more of Cliff Kingsbury saying, what can you do for me? Because why should he leave Washington?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he has the weapons in that offense to say, I'm set here. What can you do for me to attract me to come to Nashville?
Yeah, it's similar to the Ben Johnson situation from last year or 2 years ago with the Commanders, right, where it was like, hey, I don't have to leave. You've got to make it attractive to me to leave because I like my situation here. I still don't think I'd put Kingsbury at the top of the list. I really like Arthur Smith. I still think McCarthy would be my number 1, and I agree with the YouTube chat that maybe it's just the safe pick that's attractive to me. But I do like Arthur Smith. I think he never had any good quarterback play in Atlanta, and we've seen what he can do as a play caller. He knows the organization. He's clearly well-liked within the organization. If I had to guess who it is going to be, not who I want it to be, but who it is going to be right now, I think it's going to be Arthur Smith.
That's fair. I mean, Chase and Joe especially has been on this Arthur Smith train to the point where I'm like, all right, I get it. Arthur Smith, okay. But it makes sense because you allude to it. This guy knows this system. He knows the front office. Everybody knows him on a first name basis. Probably still lives here in some aspects. I don't know. But you got to look at it from that point. But the only issue I have, and you just mentioned it about the quarterback situation, can he develop a quarterback?
Yes.
Because obviously he's been in the bad situations of not having a good quarterback, but can he develop a good quarterback?
Yeah.
And that's one thing you got to worry about with Cam Ward.
That is definitely a question. I think that would be a large part of the interview for Arthur Smith. What gives you confidence that you can turn Cam Ward into a franchise quarterback. And I again, if I had to guess who it's going to be, I think it's going to be Arthur Smith. I think they like the familiarity, and I think he would take some ownership in it, not just because of being with the Titans for as long as he was, but also because I think there's a chip on his shoulder to prove that, hey, I'm not what the results showed in Atlanta. I can be a good head coach in this league.
And right now we're talking about how we're all enamored into Arthur Smith, but let's remember we're forgetting about the defense right now with all the holes they have to fill. You're not going to fix it all in one offseason. It takes multiple years. Can Arthur Smith be a part of that process of obviously won't be selecting those defensive players, but he is the head coach. So he's going to have some say in some of those guys.
Yeah.
So is that another aspect of where you say, Art, you think you can help us out with some of these guys? You think this might be a good fit here and there? And that's where he solely relies on a defensive coordinator. Is Denard Wilson the guy going forward for the Titans?
Right.
All that's up in the air. It then comes down to, should Arthur Smith bring in his own defensive coordinator?
Right. And I know TD has been advocating for whoever the head coaches, keep Denard Wilson on, try and keep Bones Fossil on. That would definitely be something to talk about when they go through the interview process of who would you want to bring in on your staff, because there's got to be some experience and guys who can come in and immediately start to develop this young roster, because you can see the flashes, you can see the potential from Ward and DK and Iamaner and even Kevin Winston when he's been out there, and Femi showed some flat. Like, you can see with the young guys, there's talent. Can you get the most out of them? And that's going to be the task of this next coaching staff. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Nevada Josh says, let's hire the Hasselbecks.
Hey, they're doing really good.
They're right down the road.
Innsworth's pretty darn good, if you ask me.
No moving costs as well. Matt says, I think Nagy would be my first choice outside of McCarthy. When you talk about building something and overachieving, what he did in Chicago is actually pretty impressive. Yeah, I've said it before. I think Matt Nagy gets a little bit of a bad rap for the way things ended in Chicago, but he did have a 12-win season with the Bears.
Yeah.
One season doesn't make a coach great, but there was at least some signs of success from Matt Nagy when he was with the Bears. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. I mentioned we're going to talk about the possible crowd on Sunday, and I want to get to that coming up next, because I am not exaggerating when I think this might be the worst crowd in Nissan Stadium history. And it's not just because of the Titans. Chargers just don't have fans either. We'll talk about it coming up next. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Final hour, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Talking Titans to start the hour. We will get into the Preds in this final hour. We didn't talk Predators at all yesterday. They had an interesting weekend, to say the least, in Bridgestone Arena. Crazy game on Saturday night against the Kings, and then came up just short against the Stars on Sunday. They end their 5-game homestand tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's go to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Jeff says, guys, in my opinion, what the Titans should focus on more than a coach is finding the experienced personnel that are proven at finding and evaluating real on-field talent to draft and knowing when not to acquire rehabbing players on the free market. Most of the coaches you have mentioned can likely win several games with a decent roster, but none will win with the likes of this current team. It's a very good point from Jeff of, yes, the coach is important. And the coach is important because you need to develop Cam Ward. But the biggest issue with this team, of course, is the lack of talent, depth on the roster.
Experience.
It goes back to 3 straight horrible draft classes, 2020, 2021, 2022. You have 1 player left from those draft classes. That should be the baseline of your team right now, is those players at the end of their rookie deals and whoever you signed to keep around from that 2020 class. That should be your team right now. And you have 1 player, Chigakonkwo. And guess what? When you miss on those players in the draft, that's why you have to go trade for L'Jarius Sneed, because Christian Fulton wasn't very good. That's why you have to sign Dan Moore to an $80 million contract, because Nicholas Petit-Frere and Isaiah Wilson didn't pan out. You have to spend $90 million on Calvin Ridley because Treylon Burks didn't pan out. Like, that is why you have to go to these free agent deals and these trades to fix the mistakes, or at least try and paint over the mistakes of those draft classes. And the only way this team's going to get better is if they start drafting better players. And it's easy enough to be said, but at least it looks like the last 2 draft classes have some promise. This is a big draft coming up. You got to get a lot of picks, and you got to hit on most of them.
Yeah, massive. You mentioned a good point about the paint, trying to paint over all the bad picks.
Yeah.
They're using primer right now. You see right through it. It's just the clear coat. They're just using clear coat.
The Titans have been putting lipstick on a pig for the last 4 years of like, oh, well, yeah, we drafted Caleb Farley in the first round, and we drafted Treylon Burks in the first round. We drafted Isaiah Wilson. Let's just gloss things up. Dan Moore, L'Jarius Sneed, Calvin Ridley. It'll be fine. Throw it out there.
On paper, this is a great team.
But that's what it is. You missed those 3 first-round picks at those 3 premium positions, and you've now had to invest $250 million in multiple picks in trying to replace those players. And it's hard to fix those problems quickly. And we've seen that over the past couple of years.
Again, you got to rip the Band-Aid off and just say, the buck stops here. We're done. We're going to start from scratch.
And it seems like that's where the Titans are. And it's disappointing because you've already been bad for 3 years. And now it seems like they're finally embracing the rebuild, but there's really no other choice at this point. You're in a spot where if you don't tear it down and start over, you're probably never going to be good again. Matt in Nashville made me giggle. The Titans have a huge loft problem, lack of farting talent.
Yeah, that's good, Matt. That's pretty.
That's good.
Man.
That's good from Matt in Nashville. The Titans have a loft problem. I like it. I did want to mention, we got a couple minutes in this segment. I've been talking about the crowd on Sunday.
You're good.
It's going to be hilarious. I mean, I don't know if there will be a smaller crowd in the NFL this season than what we see on Sunday. What incentive is there for Titans fans to go out to this game? It's going to be in the 50s. The team's not good. Sunday afternoon. Yeah, you at least get an extra hour of sleep on Saturday, so maybe an extra hour to get ready for the game. But no one's going to go out there from the Titans side.
Nah.
And the Chargers don't travel. Like this isn't the Steelers or the Bills or the Patriots where you're going to see Chargers logos all over Broadway Friday and Saturday, and then they're going to fill up the stadium on Sunday. You'll see some. There will be some Chargers fans in attendance, but That stadium seats about 70, right? 15 is low. It's going to be higher than that. I'm going to say they're not going to announce the actual attendance. It'll be tickets sold or whatever.
Right.
But I'm going to say bodies in the building. I'll go 25 to 30,000.
Bodies in the building. That's high, Jake.
I mean, it's not even half capacity.
I'm leaning less.
You think less?
I think like 20,000 and 15,000 what you said originally. Look, TSU plays Lindenwood Lions this Saturday at Nissan Stadium. I feel like there's going to be more people at that game.
No chance.
You don't think?
The NFL is still king, and there's always people who want to go out as a social event, right? Like,
right.
There are people who aren't big Titans fans who it's like, oh, what do we want to do Sunday? Let's go to the Titans game. You'll have those fans. There will be the diehards who go to every single game, but the casual fan who's not a season ticket holder, who likes to go to some games but doesn't like to go to all of them,
right,
has no reason to go to this game on Sunday.
No, I mean, it's going to be chilly. It's probably going to be windy. And do you want to pay $45 for 3 chicken tenders and fries? I'm all right.
Yeah,
I'll pass.
I'll
go order that at a fast food place and sit on my back porch and
watch the game.
Front row seat.
I think 20 is a little low because again, you do have, there will be tourists who want to go see a game, and there will be just your, again, casual fans who maybe bought tickets before the season of like, oh, what game do we want to go to? Let's go to the Chargers game. But it's not, I would say less than half for sure. Less than half of the stadium is going to be full.
Man, I hate to say this, but I hope it's like 20,000. I just want to see an empty stadium because honestly, that would set a precedent of you're at rock bottom. You have really hit rock bottom. That would show the front office saying, look, we got to do something about this.
Right. That is the way to show ownership that you're not happy with the product is don't show up to the games. Don't buy concessions. And soon enough, that money starts talking, and they got to turn it around at some point. Nevada Josh says tickets are cheap. Let's see. 2 tickets, $25 right now. And that's on Tuesday. It's going to go down. It's going to go down. Josh sent a sign from game day this weekend. Vandy could beat the Titans. I will always be on the side of no college team could beat any professional team, but in terms of who's more fun to watch, for sure, it's Vanderbilt.
Jake, look,
it's not even debatable.
Really?
No.
Not even debatable.
Do we want to talk about this coming up next? Because this is my favorite debate to have.
What's the debate?
Whether any college team ever could beat any pro team ever.
Well, I think Ohio State might be favored on a neutral field versus the Titans.
Absolutely.
I'm just kidding.
Not.
I'm just kidding. No, I don't think there's a college team that'll beat an NFL team.
I think Vandy would beat Tennessee. The Titans.
Okay.
What do you think Vanderbilt would beat the Tennessee Titans?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll talk about this coming up.
Absolutely.
Gover texted in. He says, guys, I cover Titans games and I don't want to go Sunday. I'm sure that's the sentiment around a lot of Titans media. It is not fun football to watch, and it's not good football. 615-737-1228. I gotta dispute this from Nick because it is anybody who says that a college team could beat a pro team, there's an easy way to dispute it, and we'll do it next.
I told Ethan to clip it.
Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly with you. We are going to talk some Preds towards the end of the show, but Nick Frazier has brought up one of the points that somebody makes around sports that I cannot let go by idly, saying that he thinks that Vanderbilt could beat the Tennessee Titans. And I love Vanderbilt's playing some great football right now. But let's say Ohio State, as Parker brought up, number 1 team in the country. Titans, I would argue, are the worst team in the NFL. How many NFL players are on the Ohio State Buckeyes right now?
Probably a handful of them.
Say 20.
Yeah.
Does that sound about right, Parker? 20?
Yeah.
20 NFL players. How many NFL players are on the Tennessee Titans right now?
53.
53. Yeah. That's the one thing I always say to that is you got, and also these are grown men out there.
True.
Like you got Kevin Zeitler, who as much as Kevin Zeitler has struggled this year against professionals, Kevin Zeitler against a 20-year-old kid, grown man strength, I think he would absolutely destroy him. Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons in the middle against a college offensive line. Titans would be favored by 45 points against any college team.
I see that. Like, look, 9 times out of 10, Titans would probably win that game. But this is that one time.
Okay.
This year, with all the injuries included on both sides of the spectrum, this Vanderbilt team would probably win by, I'd say, 7 points.
I can't even entertain this.
I
I
know,
can't even entertain this.
It is. This is like when somebody texted in and said the Savannah Bananas could beat the Nashville Sounds.
Now that
like,
one I had to disagree with. I would disagree with that.
An NFL team versus a college team. I don't care who it is. Take the 0-16 Lions against 2019 LSU. The Lions win that game by 20 points.
I hate to put you on the spot. Can you read me off the Titans current secondary?
I mean, Jalen Armour Davis,
right?
Darrell Baker, Samuel Womack, Marcus Harris, Amani Hooker, Xavier Woods.
Okay.
How many of those guys have played in the NFL?
I mean, all of them.
All of them. How many of Ohio State's wide receivers have played in the NFL? I understand Jeremiah Smith's good, and they would probably double cover Jeremiah Smith. There is absolutely zero chance that Ohio State could score more than 14 points against the Titans.
Really?
And the Titans offense would light up that Ohio State defense.
Chase has chimed in on this. He just texted, Nick, we drug test, man.
Again, I've had people call in before and say, I need to lay off gummies. I need to stop drinking before 7 a.m. I don't do drugs or do I drink often. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people think I'm a crazy guy. Maybe I am.
I mean, Nevada Josh on the text line is on your side. He says, I would bet my house that the Titans would lose to Ohio State and they would lose to the top 10 college football teams. So you're not alone in this.
Like, do I think Oregon could possibly put up a good fight against the Titans and maybe win more than once? Sure.
I think, sure, there's a scenario. That's why they play the games. But like not 9 out of 10, 999 out of 1,000, the NFL team wins, and it's not even close.
All right. With the current Titans roster, that's the one I'm looking at. Sure, there may be 53 guys on that roster that are NFL players, but are they qualified NFL players?
But they're
like, are they good enough to really be on a 53? We were talking about this earlier with Roger McCreary. Like, he's a decent player on a really, really bad team.
It's a horrible NFL team.
And I get it. Like, they are NFL players, but are they the same caliber as college players? Not as quite, but yet college players, I think, have a little bit more of a upper edge. With
it's less about the high-end talent. Because, of course, the Titans would take Jeremiah Smith on their team right now. They'd take Caleb Downs on their team right now.
Correct.
But the depth and the strength, like, you're going to have 25 to 30-year-olds on the defensive line going against 19, 20, 21-year-olds.
Fresh hamstrings versus old ones. I don't know what to say.
You're one of the first people I've ever seen back this up because
he's doubling down, he's tripling down, quadruple down.
Didn't say that, but
he is doubling down on it and saying, yeah, I think you say Vandy would beat the Titans by 7.
It'd be a 1-score game.
Oh my goodness.
It'd be probably 3 points.
Mark says, I feel the only sport it is even a remote possibility would be in baseball. Paul Skeens, when at LSU, could be a dominant in one game against the worst MLB team. What say you? I agree. I think if you're looking for any sport where a college team could beat a pro team, it is baseball. It's unlikely, very unlikely. But I'll use a softball example. Angela Tincher was a pitcher at Virginia Tech back in the 2000s, and she no-hit Team USA. Like, again, softball, baseball. Like, if you have one dominant pitcher, there's a chance for you to win that game. Football, when it's one-on-one matchups and you got to impose your will on somebody, I'm taking the guys who are grown men who have played against grown men for years against the college kids.
Look, I'm not bringing Tim Hasselbeck into this as he is helping defend my honor in this, but he did say a few weeks ago the Titans should look at Clark Lee as a head coach option. I mean, he did say that on our airwaves. And again, if that's a guy that's played in the NFL saying that Clark Lee is a good head coach and possibly should make a jump to the NFL in some aspects, I still think that means he builds a strong culture with Vandy and could possibly beat a team that's depleted like the Titans.
There is a difference between a coach who can make the jump from college to pro than players who could match up against
But look, if that coach is able to, I guess, rally those guys along and win an X amount of games in college, I still think he could easily beat the Titans by 3 points.
Is Nevada Josh on drugs too?
Nevada Josh is big on this take from Nick.
Thank you.
It's you and Nevada Josh against the world.
I like.
We've
Nevada
gone off
Josh.
on the
Good
complete
guy.
tangent, but I can't let it go when somebody says that a college team could beat an NFL team. It is not even remotely. The spread in that game would be at least 4 touchdowns.
Sure. Okay. I don't care. That's fine. It doesn't beat out heart and grit, man. And I tell you what, Vandy, they have more heart and grit. They have a bunch of Xavier Restrepos on that roster, whereas the Titans, heart and grit. I'm not saying actual caliber players. Hold the phones. I said heart and grit. Okay. Titans right now, they just got guys collecting checks.
3735 says Vandy's line is grown men. They are graduate students. They are still like 23 years old. And as far as I know, none of them are like high-level NFL prospects. Tavondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons would go through the Vandy line is great. Like, I'm not trying. This is not trying to trash Vandy or any college team.
Yeah.
Like, they're very talented for the level they're playing at. But Jeffrey Simmons is an all-pro defensive tackle. I don't care what college player you try and block him with. They have zero chance.
Again,
Jeffrey Simmons would have 8 sacks.
The current roster, excluding Jeffrey Simmons and Calvin Ridley because they're hurt. I'm including injuries in this scenario.
Okay, so you're saying the team that they ran out on Sunday against the Colts.
Yes, I said this at the beginning of the segment. Yeah.
Okay, they win by 35 instead of 45.
Oh, excuse me. Come on now. I mean, still, this is a 3 to 7 point ball game.
I mean, literally just run behind Peter Skoronski every single time.
Fine with me.
That I respect the opinions here because the Titans are really bad, but 5 touchdowns, I would say. Like, final score 52-14 would be my guess.
Wow, 52-14. I mean, oh boy, it's got to be closer than that, man. It has to be.
I mean, we've got
no way.
1137 said a while back before we even started this conversation. He said TSU versus the Titans, winner gets the new stadium.
I'm in. I know that one a little bit more.
Well, yeah, you go to FCS.
Yeah,
I think the Titans would beat Vanderbilt by 30 or more points.
Easy.
It's not even a contest.
Titans would beat Ohio State by 25 plus minimum.
That's what the line would be. Titans would be favored by 25 minimum.
I wonder if an odds maker has ever put this out.
Like Jake made the comment, like, sure, the defensive line of Vanderbilt or offensive line of Vanderbilt, they're young, they're 23-year-old graduates. I get all that. They're not being looked at by NFL teams. But, I mean, after that game, they would be getting looked at by NFL teams. I'll tell you that right now. I'm just putting that out there.
I wanted to see if somebody has ever put out, like, a hypothetical line of, like, if you put the worst NFL team against the best college team, what would it be? I haven't seen it, but
I was trying to have ChatGPT give me a little simulation. It didn't really give me the right simulation I wanted. So,
it said the NFL team would blow them out.
Well, sort of. It was more of it had the active roster of like Jeffrey Simmons and Calvin Ridley. I went with current injury stipulation.
What did it say the score was going to be?
Well, the first score it gave me was 35-14, and Vandy was up after the first quarter 7-0.
Oh wow!
And said Calvin Ridley scored a touchdown. It said here Pavia threw for 250, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
That's hilarious.
Cedric Alexander had 90 yards rushing and a touchdown, and then Titans backup quarterback completes 18 of 28, 220 for 2 touchdowns.
I mean, it's not even. Ohio State is a better example because that is a team full of 5 stars NFL prospects, and yes, they have the top end talent. Smith, Caleb Downs, all those guys probably going to be very talented NFL players. But that's maybe the top 10 guys on the team. Then you've probably got 10 to 15 guys who will be role players, depth at the NFL level. And then the rest of that roster are guys who are never going to play on Sundays. It's not going to be, it would not be close.
I just have to respectfully disagree.
All right, we'll leave it at that. You and Nevada Josh are on your island together. 615-737-1025.
This team, I almost say, is this Titans team right now. It's so depleted and terrible. I think would lose 9 times, or they'd win 9 times out of 10. That one time though is today.
All right.
That's all I gotta say.
We will agree to disagree. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's talk some Preds.
Wait.
Yeah.
We have a line. So it was put into Chat GPT, and it had the Titans winning 70-3.
There you go. 70-3. I said 52-14. 70-3 would not be out of the question. It would be pure domination.
That's a 2001 line right there.
Okay.
Ain't no way.
615-737-1025 is the phone number. Let's talk some Preds on the other side. Predators finishing up their homestand tonight against the Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll do it after this. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Next man up, 102.5 The Game, Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly. Very interesting conversation in the last segment. Not one that I thought we were going to get to today, but the age-old question of could the worst NFL team beat the best college team? Yes, the answer is yes. They'd be favored by 67 points. Is that what we got from ChatGPT? And AI is always
70-3.
AI is always correct. So
seems like it. Hey, look, this Titans team is so bad they got me talking this way. I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, I can't blame you. It's really bad. It's not fun to watch. And I don't think it's going to be fun to watch on Sunday against the Chargers either.
No.
615-737-1025.
Disclaimer, I do not do drugs for people that work here. I do not do drugs and or drink on the job.
Chase McCabe was a little bit concerned there after that take.
I don't know. We'll just have to bring out the drug test just to make sure.
Just to make sure. Safe.
You'll find black coffee and apple cider vinegar.
All right. Well, those results will be read out next Tuesday on the show with Nick Frazier. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. If you want to text or call, our phone line's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's talk Predators because they are a little bit more fun to watch.
Yes.
They are somewhat a boring team at times. They're not your high-flying offense that's going to score 5 goals a night, but this weekend was exciting with the Predators. Wild shootout win, 9 rounds against the Kings on Saturday. They do come up just short against Dallas. Really tough finish to that game with Dallas on the power play and borderline interference. Tyler Seguin took a shot, and I think it should have been called. And then a couple of seconds later, Mikko Rantanen puts it in the back of the net. It's 3-2, you lose. But Pred's competitive with 2 playoff teams from a year ago. Stars are considered a Stanley Cup contender. Now you've got one more game on this homestand, a chance to get 6 points in 5 games on the homestand. You're just outside a playoff spot right now. They're inconsistent, but they're at least competitive right now early on the season.
Absolutely. I mean, when you have a winning record and you're, continually putting out a good product, I think that only bodes well going forward. I mean, like you said, they just get one win and they kind of leapfrog 2 other teams, the Blackhawks and the Stars. So I think that's something to keep your eyes on. So overall, this team is kind of starting to gel with those young players and veteran players. Connor has made comments about that.
Yeah,
I think we're starting to see that. Would like to see a little bit more out of Steven Stamkos, though. I mean, I don't know if it's the system and or him. Something's not clicking there, and something's got to click going forward.
Yeah, that is the one missing piece for this team is why is Steven Stamkos? Is it just the age? Like, is he just lost a step and not quite as good as he was, or does it just not fit here? And I'd love to see more from him. I think you've seen more from Marchessault when he's been out there so far this year, which is great, especially considering the comments he made at the end of last year. Like, you need him to buy in. And it seems like he has been more productive. Steven Stamkos, you're still waiting for that moment where it clicks for him.
Yeah, and I don't know if the Roman Josi injury or whatever that is kind of plays a factor into all this chemistry-wise, but I mean, you get guys in the offseason in Perbix and Haig.
Yeah.
You're waiting for all that to kind of click together. It's just all the stars are not lining up at the same time. And you kind of need that, I think, for Stamkos to get that spark that everybody wants.
Yeah.
I think everything has to line up for him to really get going.
And Haig is back, which is huge.
Right.
Getting him healthy. Matthew Wood got healthy. He's looked good in his first couple of games. So maybe you do start to see this team come together. They've kind of been treading water at this point in the season, staying in the mix, but you're going to need a stretch where not a 19-game point streak.
Right.
But if you could, you've still got, you played 4, so I think you still have 5 of your next 7 at home, even though the homestand ends tonight. Put together a couple of wins and start racking up those points early on in the season, and you have a chance to hang in there and be in the playoff chase. American Thanksgiving is that dividing line. You want to be in the playoffs at American Thanksgiving.
Right.
You got about a month to get there. In fact, almost exactly a month to get there. So going to be an important couple of weeks for the Preds. This is a big one tonight against Tampa, and we'll continue to talk some Preds, but I think we've started something here. We got some callers on the phone lines who want to chime in on your thoughts, Nick. Let's go to Jeff to start things off. Jeff, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little Titans, more or less, get a push from the media and you guys' help for Amy Adams Strunk to sell this organization so that we may have an opportunity moving forward to win. I'll hang up, listen to what you got. But I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Jeff. She's not going to sell the team.
No, absolutely not.
It's if you want to change an ownership, the only thing that I could see happening is if she handed over control to Kenneth.
Yeah.
But I don't see that being a priority right now, and they're not going to sell the team. I don't know if it was written in Bud's will that like you can never sell the team, but I would expect that is the expectation for his children, is that you will never sell this team.
Yeah,
it will stay in the Adams family.
The Adams family.
Yeah.
There you go. This is like a family heirloom at this point.
Right. I mean, it's his legacy.
Yeah.
And even if it's not explicitly stated from Bud to his children, like, you will never sell the team, I think they know that that's the expectation, is that this is the Adams family. This is their, yeah, it's been a horror story over here for the last couple of years. 615-737-1025. Let's go to Carl P on the phone lines, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Carl, thanks for calling. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Comment on the Titans and college. My comment as far as the Adams family getting rid of the program. Guys, I'm just old enough to realize that a lot of times when an NFL team is in rebuilding status, I mean coliseums and what on, they do not be in the top average of the league because of construction. And when a team's under construction, as far as coliseum wise, it brings a lot of revenue, people into your town from out of town, and that construction bit plays a role in the win-loss situation. And that's on the business side of things. But players versus college versus NFL, during this era of NIL, a lot of our college players are 24 to 28-year-old. And if you got an average players from 24 to 28-year-old, they will be able to compete against some of those younger NFL teams as the transition grows from the older people staying in college a little longer versus the ones that jump out of college and go to the NFL a little sooner. So yes, right now there will be some comparison of the worst NFL team to your best college teams, and a few of those college teams will prevail. That's my comment. Thank y'all for taking my call.
Thanks for the call, Carl. You got
Nice
another
call.
one on your side.
Nice call, Carl. Love it.
Do you know why these college kids stay so long at the college level?
Yes, because they can't play.
Because they're not going to play in the NFL.
But now there's a different incentive now, Jake. You can make money. You make more money.
I understand. They make more money playing college football because they're better at college football, and they couldn't stack up against NFL teams. Thank you very much. 615-737-1025 is the phone number. We've got one more segment. We will get to all of your phones before we get out of here and wrap things up on the other side. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, next man up, 1025 The Game. Final segment, next man up, 102.5 The Game. Jake Lyman, Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly wrapping things up on this Tuesday. Chase and Big Joe coming up after us, live from Tennessee Brewworks. So excited for that. Tomorrow, Corey Curtis will be in. I will be here for the first 2 hours, and then Dr. Crane going to fill in for me for the last hour. So a little bit of a mix and match tomorrow, but Corey Curtis in for his usual Wednesday appearance.
Should be fun.
Should be a lot of fun. We'll talk Titans. We'll talk college football. We'll talk everything. Maybe some Nashville SC as well. They're getting ready for playoff game number 2 coming up this weekend. Now Corey also big on the boys in gold over there.
Need a win.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do, to keep their season alive. So excited for that. Let's go back to our phone lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Larry has been waiting patiently. Larry, good morning. Go ahead.
Hey, I have a couple comments real quick. I'm tired of these callers and people on social media be like, man, we need a new owner. We need a new owner. Yes, we do need a new owner, but the NFL makes so much money for these owners. It's like a gold mine. These owners are hardly ever sell these franchises. One other quick comment. I'm tired of also people getting on social media and talking about Diego Pavia's numbers. Vanderbilt's offense is not set up like Tennessee's offense. Vanderbilt tries to run the football, take off time off the clock. If you watch their games, they snap the ball between 1 and 2 seconds almost every snap. So people comparing Pavia's numbers to Ty Simpson's or Aguilar is just absolutely ridiculous. Thanks. Have a great day.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Larry. 2 good points. Yes, she's not going to sell the team. Like, that's the amount of money that you make. You went through it. They're operating at a huge deficit, but you get all that money from the NFL, and you're making $100 million a year, basically. They're not selling the team. And I'm glad you brought that up on Pavia because we didn't get to that today. And I've seen a lot of that, too, of posting the passing stat line from Diego Pavia on Saturday against Missouri, which I don't think Diego played his best game on Saturday, but he still made the plays necessary to win. And that's the difference between scouting box scores and actually watching the games. If you watch Vanderbilt play, you can see that Diego Pavia is the one pushing this thing forward. The team is talented, but they're not the number 9 team in the country without Diego Pavia. Is that enough to win him the Heisman? I don't know. But I think the way he's played so far has him right in the conversation to have a seat in New York at the end of the year.
Absolutely. I mean, he's elevated his team around him. Like you said, he is the main core piece of this puzzle. And if you take him out of the equation, yeah, like that's a prime reason as to why he should be a Heisman candidate. Who cares if the university put out a poll for him to be a Heisman candidate?
Every single school does it.
Yes. Like who cares? Like that's simply college for you. Like that's going to happen.
Colorado sent out 2 gift boxes to every Heisman voter last year for Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. Like this is what you do. You have a Heisman campaign. It costs money to go win the Heisman, right? Like these schools have to go out and advocate for their players. Because if you don't, like, yeah, sometimes the stats just speak for themselves. When you've got Derrick Henry or
Reggie Bush,
right? These guys who they're the clear favorite. And it's like, all right, yeah, they did it all for themselves. But a lot of the times when you're splitting hairs and you've got Fernando Mendoza, who obviously is having a great year at Indiana, Ty Simpson, great year at Alabama. Diego's right in that thick of things. Nashville native Marcel Reed should be in that conversation too. All those guys are having great seasons, and your average Heisman voter may not be watching every single game that these guys play and watching every single snap. You have to go and advocate for your guy. And that's what Vandy's doing. And I'm sure Texas A&M is going to be doing the same thing for Marcel Reed.
Absolutely. For Marcel Reed, having the success he's having early on in his college career is impressive, but to do it with A&M and they're undefeated, it adds so much more to the equation because again, like Pavia, take them out of the equation, they're not an undefeated ball club.
Yeah, I think this is a Vandy team that has enough talent to be probably a bowl eligible team with just anybody at quarterback, but they're a college football playoff contender because Diego Pavia is playing quarterback.
Exactly.
Like, go watch that LSU game again. There are at least 4 or 5 plays in that LSU game where he should have been dead to rights, play should have been over, and he somehow makes something out of nothing and gets Vandy a first down or gets Vandy in the end zone. The touchdown run, you may look at that and say, oh, no one was within 15 yards of him. Like, all he did was find a hole and run. Look at the way he anticipates the pressure off the backside. Like, most quarterbacks, that's a strip sack. Guy comes around, knocks the ball out of your hand, and boom, This is a brand new ball game. Instead, Pavia feels the pressure, steps up, and he's got a cakewalk to the touchdown.
Sounds like a quarterback that could win a football game.
That's what I'm saying. It's like watch the games. Don't just scout the box scores.
I was going to go a direction with it, but I'm not going that direction. We've already gone down that avenue. It just sounds like a quarterback.
I see what you're saying.
Yep. Just saying. But no, overall, like, yeah, he's the primary reason Vandy's where they're at right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm not saying he's going to win the Heisman, but acting like he shouldn't even be in the conversation is just as crazy.
Yeah.
I really like Diego, and I know that people don't like the confidence and bordering on arrogance at times, but I think he goes about it the right way. Like, he is clearly confident in his abilities, and he's going to tell you that, but it's not like he's putting himself in front of the team. He came out on Saturday after the game and basically said, like, I shouldn't be here talking to you. Our defense won us that football game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's exactly what Vanderbilt needed. Yes, he's confident, and he's going to tell everybody that he can beat you on any given Saturday, but he's a culture builder in that locker room who's going to pull everyone forward with him, not just want the praise and the accolades for himself.
Absolutely. I mean, again, you go back to the stats and you try to compare it to Ty Simpson, whatever. Yeah. Like, if you just leave all that out of the equation and look at actual Pavia's just impact on this team minus the stats, that's where I think, again, people are going to be like, oh, you got to check out the stats for Heisman voting. I'm like, yeah, but look at what he's done without all that. Again, to the caller, I think it was Larry that said it. Vandy they operate differently.
Right.
They run it down to 2 seconds on the clock.
Yes.
Perfect.
And they're not throwing the ball 45 times a game. That's not how they're trying to win football games. But when you need a play, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, I don't know if there's a quarterback in the country you'd want other than Diego Pavia. When you need one play to help your team win a football game.
Exactly. And I go back to what I mentioned earlier about efficiency when it comes to the college football playoff rankings. The offensive play efficiency. Vandy ranks 7th in the nation at that. I believe it's 86.4. Don't quote me, but it's at 86 something. Like, that has a factor into this as well. Not just for college football playoff implications, but for a guy like Diego Pavia and the Heisman as well.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. And Diego, he has the opportunities in front of him to go and prove it on a national stage. You're playing on national TV on ABC this weekend against Texas. Likely going to be playing on national television in Knoxville at the end of the year. You've got chances to go have your Heisman moment and cement it. Right now, he's in the conversation. All those quarterbacks are going to have to play strong down the stretch to see who wins it. That'll just about do it for us on this Tuesday. Always appreciate you coming in, Nick.
Thank you. It's always fun.
It's always fun to have Dr. Crane in studio for a Tony Tuesday. And again, tomorrow, Corey Curtis going to be with us for the full show. Me and Nick Frazier are going to split things up a little bit. I got to get out of here at 11 tomorrow. So Nick Frazier will be back on the program tomorrow. And make sure to keep listening. Chasing Big Joe show coming up next from Tennessee Brewworks. That'll do it for us. For Nick Frazier, Parker Kelly, I'm Jake Lyman. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 9. Chasing Big Joe coming up next here on 102.5 The Game.